Hello everyone, it's a pleasure to be with you today. Today, Quienes Somos is going to have the pleasure to speak to Jessica Vieira, a writer from the Ottawa Gatineau region and the Portuguese origin, who will share with us a little bit more about her new novel titled Before the Sun Sets. And this is Jessica's story. Thank you, Jessica, for being here with Quienes Somos. Thank you to our followers for your continued support. But before we go on, Jessica, with this wonderful news about your new published novel, tell us a little bit more about Jessica.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for Quienes Somos for coming in and making the time for me. So my name is Jessica. I live in Ottawa. I was born in Ottawa. My parents are Portuguese, and when I was little, I lived in Portugal for a little bit, but I've lived most of my time here. I dedicate my work, I'm dedicated to my full-time job at the federal government, and I am a self-published author.
So you have Portuguese background?
Yes, my parents are both from Portugal. My mom is from the south, and my dad is from a small town near Fatima.
And your mom from where?
She's from Algarve.
How far is that more or less from Lisbon?
Well, my dad's small town is an hour away from Lisbon, and Algarve, the south, is 4 hours, more or less.
Driving, I guess.
Yes, driving.
You said that you lived in Portugal?
Yes, I lived there from 3 years to 9 years old, but I've gone back and forth many times because my dad's side of the family lives there, so I visit them often.
You like Portugal?
Yes, I
More
really
than Ottawa?
do. It's different. It's different. You can't compare.
Jessica, my first question. You're a writer. I'm wondering, how do you become a writer? Is the writer is born within the person, the writer, or somebody inspire you, or an event, a person, your mom? Perhaps you have a writer in your family. How do you become a writer?
So I started out when I was young. I would always like writing poems and short stories just for myself, just for fun. Funny enough, my parents aren't readers. My brother's not a reader, so I didn't really find the inspiration there. I do have an aunt that's a reader, so we did share a lot of stories. We'd share books together. But I've always loved writing, and I've always had a very vivid imagination. So that's where it started. And when I thought of this story to write, that's when I thought, okay, maybe I should write it and share it publicly. So that was the very first time I decided to write something, to put it out there, to publish.
So Jessica, since there's no writer or a poet in your family, what actually pushed you to start writing then?
So in high school, we had to write short stories for English class, and my teacher told me that I had a big imagination, very vivid imagination, and that I was very good at coming up with stories. So that kind of made me start wanting to write even more. So yeah, that was
and the writing that you're referring to, and perhaps Before the Sunset, is a fiction novel?
Yes, it's a fiction novel. Yes.
So talking about Before the Sunset, can you tell us a little bit more about your new published novel, which is the Before the Sunset? Tell us a little bit more about this novel.
So it's a psychological novel. It's fiction, and it starts out with a family. The reader gets introduced to this very close-knit family. So you have Ellie, the main character, you have Trevor, the husband, and Jake, their 7-year-old son. And you get to see their loving relationship. Ellie is a nurse, so Trevor and Jake go see her at the hospital a lot, and they have this playful relationship. You know, like who gets it, the person that finds mom the fastest wins. So you get to really get to know the family. And, you know, Jake is really excited to go to baseball tryouts, and then something bad happens. Ellie, on the way to the dentist appointment, Ellie and Jake are in a car accident. Ellie survives, and Jake doesn't. So it's about the loss of Jake and how to cope with it. And despite the fact that Trevor and Ellie are both grieving, Ellie has to deal with survivor's guilt as well. So she needs to, it's a little harder for her. And so she's prescribed sleeping pills. And the first night she sleeps with those sleeping pills, she dreams that the accident never happened. And he continues to live on. And at the beginning, she doesn't think too much of it. But the second night, it happens again. So he continues living as if the accident never happened. And her reality and the dream world start to blur together. And I don't want to give any more spoilers, so I'm just going to stop it at that.
So Jessica, all the characters are fiction?
Yes,
They're
they're all
not
fiction.
real?
No.
And it's just the little thing that you just told us is based on a family experience or something like that?
Yeah, it's centered around the family. It's centered around Ellie and Trevor, but more specifically Ellie coping with the traumatic situation of losing her son.
And Ellie is the father?
Ellie is the mother.
The mother, and
yes.
Trevor the father?
Yes.
And Jake is the son?
Yes, Jake is...
Now, since your first novel, is all about fiction, what inspired you to write your first novel?
So it is fiction, but I was inspired by something that happened to me personally. So first of all, I have a lot of vivid dreams. So I've always had that, I always remember my dreams when I wake up. And I did unfortunately lose someone, my grandmother, when she passed away in Portugal. It was very sudden. We weren't expecting it, and I didn't get the chance to say goodbye. And that night, I had a dream when I was sitting at her kitchen and talking to her, and she reached to me and squeezed my hand. And I woke up the next day very emotional because it felt real. So I remember thinking, when I started thinking of this story, I thought, wouldn't it be beautiful for your mind, beautiful and traumatic and sad at the same time, if your mind would be able to create this haven to protect you from this pain. And that's how the story kind of started. I started thinking about the characters and trying to put it around that idea.
Jessica, it's interesting to know that Before the Sunset novel is a fiction novel, but it was inspired by true events. So the question that wanders my mind is, even off camera, that I was asking you, why not a novel about true events?
I think every fiction novel, or I think fiction, is inspired by true events, right? We have something that happens in our lives and we develop it into a story with new characters and that make it feel real because it was inspired by something that you felt at one point.
I can see that. Well, Jessica, all I have to say is congratulations for your first novel. Now, before we leave, I would like to know, now that people that got to know you today, that probably there's a lot of people that know you that are not very acquaintance to you or know you very well. They didn't probably know that you wrote your novel. Where can people get a copy of your novel?
So it's available on Amazon worldwide, and as of a few weeks ago, it's available at Indigo on Innis.
On Innis Road?
On Innis Road, yes, in
Indigo
Orleans.
chapters or Indigo?
It's Indigo. It's the same, I believe. Right? Yeah, okay. That one it just says Indigo,
okay.
but it's Indigo chapters. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I'm hoping that it will be available in other stores, but so far it's there, and I will be doing a signing in August.
A signing of the novel in August? Where?
At the Indigo.
You know the date? Have a date yet?
Right now we don't have a date. It should be the beginning of August, but I will be posting a date on my website and on my Instagram once we find out the date.
Now that you say website, where can people get the information? What's the website?
Yeah, it's at jrvieirabooks.com. That's my website. And I will also be posting it at on my Instagram. So my Instagram is jrvieira. So you can find it there.
Facebook?
Yes, I do have Facebook as well. So
where?
It's just Jessica Vieira.
Okay, Jessica Vieira. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, my people, let's support our talented people in the region. Let's support Jessica and buy a copy of her published novel, which is the Before the Sunset. All I have left to say is, Jessica, congratulations, and I hope that you achieve this and many more books to come.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No problem.